Hey, what is up guys, Jay here, and this is the tutorial for my removable cable mod for the ATH M50s. Alright, these are the tools that I'm using. This is not all of it, but a soldering iron, a wire stripper, a lighter, disregard that purple ring over there, and this is the connector that I'm using. Now, I will be provided link in the description down below for where I got the connector. Alright, this is my helping hand. It's not totally necessary, but it will make your job a lot easier. I highly recommend it. Also, you need some kind of tape, preferably electrical tape, and of course, solder. Alright, first things first, it's to remove the monitor. All you do is just remove the padding. All you do is just pull it right off. And there's only 4 screws right there. You need a Phillips head screwdriver just to remove the 4 of them, and the monitor will come right off. Alright, once everything is removed, put the screws out the way, and what I did, I cut the wires directly off where they were coming from the housing. Now once that's off, just carefully lift the cable from the housing and just wiggle it out. Once again, just be careful not to break anything. This is where the electrical tape comes into place. What I used it for is to hold the cables coming from the monitor so they don't break. If they do break, you'll have to resolder them back. I did not want to mess around and put heat around the monitor and break my nice headphones, so the electrical tape I use two side of it. One, I wrapped it around all the way around the monitor just to be safe. To do is strip the wires. Just use your wire stripper. Alright, once every wire is stripped, this is where the lighter comes into place. Most headphones wires have some kind of braiding on them, some material. I used the lighter just to burn that material off. I didn't leave the open flame around the cables for too long because it is plastic and you don't want to burn your hand. So I just briefly flashed it. As you see, the material piece is just burning off. So once that's over, just use my hand just to remove any residue that's left on the cable. Alright, once that's finished, it's time to tin the wires. Now, tinning the wires is not that necessary, but it will make your job a lot easier in the long run. It's just one of those things. And this is where the helping hand comes in handy. As you could see, it's kind of hard to tin them without it. Then I use the clip just to hold the wire. So, once again, I would highly recommend this. It's really not that expensive, about 12 bucks on eBay. That's what I got mine for, so it makes it a lot easier. Alright, tinning the wire is kind of boring part. I'm fast forwarding this part, but just take your time and tin each wire individually. And once again, it's not completely necessary, but it will make your job a lot easier in the long run. So alright, once that's finished, it's time to solder it to the connector. Now the connector I'm using is this connector right there. I went ahead and labeled where everything is so you could know. Now it's time to solder the wires to the connector. The connector have holes in it, so I just put the cables through the small holes and just bend them slightly just to have something to hold on to. And as you could see right there, once again, the helping hand is really useful. I just use that to hold the connector in place while I solder it. It's kind of out of the frame, but take my word for it. Alright, once that is done, I use a auxiliary cable just to test if I was getting sound, and I was. And this is the final product. Now, disregard that extra wire over there. I just did that because I plan on doing another mod to this, so I just soldered that, but just disregard that wire. You do not need it, the gray wire. So alright, once that's finished, I I used a piece of electrical tape. I just make that into a small tube. You'll see why later on. Now I just wrapped it around the connector because the holes where the headphone wires was coming to, that holes is a lot bigger than the connector is. So I just wrapped that around the connector just to make up for that extra space in the hole. And I did it with the sticky side out just to, just have some grip to it, and as I said before, just to make up for that space inside the hole. Once that's done, I just push that down and use the nut that came with the connector and screw it into place. Now, next thing is to do is to break off a piece of the monitor housing. Now, this part is absolutely necessary because without it, the connector will not close at all. I could have done a better job with it, but as I do have a Dremel, but I don't have steady hands. I didn't want to make any mistake and ruin my headphones, so I just used a pair of wire cutter just to strip it. And as you could see, the connector's in place, and without it, this will not fit at all. So once you cut that, everything should fit right into place. I try to tuck the wires as best as I could to prevent a short and just to make the housing, make it be able to close. So alright, once that's done, just carefully align the headphones. I went ahead and speed that part because I just put the screws back on. Now what I did is I put it in a zigzag pattern because just to apply some even pressure. I'm sure it's not necessary, but I just did it just because. Alright, this is the final product. As you could see, everything is done. Now it's time to do a sound test. Alright, I'm using my iPhone, and the track that I'm using is from actually one of my favorite YouTubers, which is Code Fusion. He has a SoundCloud, and the track that I'm playing, it's called Sonder. It's a really great track, you guys. If you want to check it out. Alright, I use my Zoom H1 just to show you guys that everything is working. And I suppose once you're satisfied with everything, now it's time to put the padding back. I went ahead and speed that part. As I said before, it's kind of a lengthy process to put the padding back on, but once that's done, and so this is the final product, and with the removable headphone mod. Now this is a closer look. I wish I took more time and I had the smaller needle nose, as when I was tying it, I kind of stripped the nut and scratched my headphones a bit, but I'm pretty satisfied with how it came out. So one advice I would have for you guys is, this is not that complicated, but just take your time and so you could do a proper job. And alright, that was it. If you found this video useful, guys, thumbs up down below would really be appreciated. I have a lot more ideas for other cool videos, so subscribe for that. And if you think this video will be useful to somebody else, make sure you share it. That would also be appreciated. And until next time, later.